Great to be with you. And it is kind of funny. I mean, I did go to prison. I did go to prison for honoring the Constitution, and I'm the only one. And meanwhile, there's a lot of people out there who should be in prison, in my judgment, and I think in the judgment of many people in the Trump administration. James Comey's at the top of that list. Now, I don't have any inside knowledge.
Is what's going on with James Comey, how is it not basically the same thing that you're saying happened to you?
Because he broke the law and I didn't. Simple as that. Let me lay this out for you. The big picture, and again, I don't know what he would be charged with. There's so many things.
Our reporting is perjury.
There's so many things. But I will tell you this. He was the architect and mastermind of what's come to be known as the Russia hoax. And it started with the Steele dossier. And the Steele dossier, we agree, that was something that the Clinton campaign paid for. It was a fake dossier designed to falsely tie Donald Trump to Russia. We know that. Now, what's interesting about that is the guy, and I went to prison, so you won't have to, in the first chapter, who put me in leg irons in an armed takedown at Reagan when they could have just called me up, Walter Giardina. He was the guy who read the Steele dossier, according to whistleblowers, and said it was correct. And that then Comey, let me finish it. Comey signed the FISA warrants based on what he must have known was false or spurious information. And that in and of itself, he broke the law. That alone, never mind all the lying.
Let's circle back to what is here in this book, because look, the reality is there were a lot of people who were involved in, were called up to testify to Congress. There were people who didn't answer subpoenas, who didn't land in prison. Could the President of the United States now not have easily gotten you off the hook? You and Steve Bannon were both found yourselves in prison. There were others members of Congress, including Republicans, who were protected in these proceedings.
So
why not you?
Okay, so let's talk about it. There's one guy who was on your set. He's sitting right across from me. He was the only Republican, along with Liz Cheney, who put me in prison. He's responsible. But everybody else was a Democrat. So right off the bat, it was a Democrat majority. It was a Democrat attorney general. It was a Democrat prosecutor, a Democrat judge. And the thing is, I was the first senior White House advisor ever charged with this alleged crime, when for 50 years, the Department of Justice says that if I got a subpoena as a senior White House advisor, it was my duty to refuse that subpoena. So how did I wind up in prison? It was pure weaponized injustice, and I drew the short straw. There were other people who went up the hill, they pleaded the fifth, or they testified. I was the one who upheld principle, and it was strictly my duty to the Constitution. Full stop. My case is on appeal.
But if you'd been closer to President Trump, could you not have gotten...
No. How would you do that?
Because he could have written a letter and said that it was privileged.
By that time, he was out of... Look, nowhere, Casey, in the law, in statutes, in anywhere, in court decisions, does it say you had to have a letter for executive privilege. That's one of the things the courts will do. It's a presumed privilege. It says so right in Supreme Court dicta. So what happened was, it's like they never asked for a letter. Congress never asked for a letter. I repeatedly asked them to ask President Trump to waive the privilege,
not Congress.
And they never asked. Then I get out and they say, well, you didn't properly invoke executive privilege. Really? Okay, what are you telling me this now? And then I had an evidentiary hearing. I proved it 5 times over. It was a witch hunt and a kangaroo court. And I spent 4 months of my life in prison.
And you think it's different than, and considering what you believe happened to you.
Yes.
We've obviously gone back and forth about it, but you believe that this happened to you. We now are learning that this attorney that was installed by President Trump after the Eastern District of New York was not going to pursue an indictment against Comey. The president puts in his person, and suddenly they're going to pursue it. That's okay with you, considering your experience?
I have been saying consistently since at least 2021 that Comey, Clapper, Page, Strzok, all of the FBI, Schiff, among others, should be investigated for crimes that they committed. They broke the law. Nobody disputes that Comey lied. He lied to Congress. He leaked. That's all true. He signed those FISA warrants. I got to emphasize to your viewers, okay, look, CNN is not going to be receptive to this kind of thing, but the Russia hoax was a hoax, we know that, and Comey was the guy who set all of that in motion with the help of the FBI agent who put me in leg irons. Imagine that, Casey. They put me in leg irons when all they had to do was call me on the phone. Was that not partisan circus arrest?